Iran has denounced Israel's admission of assassinating former Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran earlier this year, accusing the country of having carried out a heinous crime. Now, Iran's ambassador to the United Nations, Amir Sayyed Iravani, in a letter addressed to the UN Secretary General, called it Israel's brazen admission, marking the first time that Israel openly confessed to killing Ismail Haniyeh. He said the admission also reaffirmed the legitimacy and the legality of Iran's defensive response on the 1st of October 2024, as well as Iran's consistent position that Israel remains the most serious threat to regional and international peace and security. Now, this is after Israel's Defense Minister, Israel Katz, on Monday acknowledged that his country was indeed responsible for the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh. And before this, Israel had never admitted or denied to killing Haniyeh. But Iran and Hamas had attributed the Hamas political leader's death to the nation from the date that it took place, on the 31st of July. Now, Haniyeh was killed in a guest house in Tehran, reportedly by an explosive device that was placed by Israeli operatives weeks before that. Meanwhile, Israeli Defense Forces said it intercepted a missile fired by Yemen's Houthis before entering the Israeli airspace. And this is the second night in a row in which the Iran-backed group fired a ballistic missile at central Israel in what has become a near-nightly occurrence. The military said sirens were activated in central Israel as a result of a missile launch from Yemen. The Palestinian Health Ministry said 8 people, including 2 women, were killed in a raid by Israeli forces in the occupied West Bank. The Ramallah-based ministry said 7 were killed in the Tulkarm refugee camp and 1 in the nearby Nur Shams camp after the military launched a sweeping raid early on Tuesday. On the other hand, the Israeli military in a statement said it eliminated a terrorist, quote-unquote, in close combat during a raid that began overnight in Tulkarm. Now, in the Gaza Strip, the IDF conducted an operation in the area of Jabalia's Indonesian hospital. The military said over the past month, several strikes, including anti-missile attacks, were carried out against the IDF from this specific area of the hospital. The IDF said it apprehended a number of terrorists, quote-unquote, during the operation, while the troops eliminated 5 other militants. In other developments, Lebanon's caretaker Prime Minister Najib Mikati met on Tuesday with Army Commander General Joseph Aoun and the committee monitoring the ceasefire that ended the war between Hezbollah and Israel. The committee is expected to continue holding successive meetings with the army. Now, it's Israel's brazen admission. But this is something Iran had claimed from the day that it took place. When Ismail Haniyeh was killed on the 31st of July, Iran had said that this was the doing of Israel. For more on this, we are joined by Fouad Izadi, Associate Professor at the Faculty of World Studies, University of Tehran. Professor, thank you so much for joining me here on the broadcast. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Sir, Israel has now admitted what Iran had always claimed to know, and that the death of Ismail Haniyeh, as I mentioned, was Israel's doing. Do you feel this changes anything between Iran and Israel? Where do you see these relations going further? And any implication on the ceasefire in Gaza, which seems to be nearing a completion at this point in terms of a conclusion?
You know, the Israelis are killing 24 children on a daily basis for the last 16 months. They're engaging in a genocide in Gaza. They have attacked and killed thousands in Lebanon. They are on a rampage, have no respect for international law, attacking a political leader. You know, Mr. Haniyeh was in Tehran for the inauguration of Iran's new president. Attacking a political leader in a foreign soil in this manner, in the manner that they did, is obviously against international law. And Iran responded to that attack under international law. If a country is attacked, they have the right to respond. But I think what we are talking about is more than the killing of a political figure or even a genocide. I think what we are witnessing is the fact that the Israelis are engaging in these activities with the full support of the United States. And unfortunately, a lot of countries are just watching what is happening. And this is why I think Iranians are proud that they are not in that category. They're not just watching. They're responding. They're trying to help the victims of this genocide. And I think the world's population is obviously very disturbed about this genocide. But we are witnessing a lack of action by a lot of countries that should know better. If the Israelis would be able to get away with this genocide, I think this would be an example for others to do the same thing. So I think stopping what the Israelis are doing is going to be a responsibility of all nations as much as they can.
Professor, Yemen's Houthis, who are backed by Iran, continue to launch strikes towards Israel. We've seen the frequency of those strikes go up in the last week to 10 days. Do you feel this will spark more unrest in the region, as we have seen how Israel responded to Lebanon earlier this year? They invaded Lebanon, and then finally on 26th of November, there was some kind of calm which was achieved, Resolution 1701 coming into play. But do you feel we're going to see a recap of that now with the Houthis, because that tension seems to be rising?
You know, Yemen is the second exemption of what I just said, that they are also not just waiting or watching what's going on in Gaza. They have said from the beginning that they would stop what they are doing if the Israelis stop the genocide in Gaza. So if the Israelis stop the genocide today, we would not have Yemenis attacking Israel anymore. You know, when you look at the data, the attacks that are coming from Yemen in the Red Sea and elsewhere are quite effective. They are putting a lot of pressure on Israeli economy. Of course, you know, Israel is backed by the United States, and they're getting billions of dollars trying to recover some of these economic losses. But the fact that Yemen is engaging in this activity and putting pressure on Israel is something that I hope other countries would also engage in, to make sure that this genocide stops as soon as possible. And I think it is possible we could stop the genocide today if we had more countries doing what Iran and Yemen are doing.
Professor Fouad Izadi, thank you so much for joining me on the broadcast and sharing all your thoughts on this.
Thank you.